Ladies and gentlemen, he's back again. Ed Sheeran, how are you?
Hey.
Oh my God!
Hey.
When is the last time that we saw each other?
I think it would have been 2017, 2018 maybe?
No.
Yeah, I think so, because I didn't do promotion on, Equals was all COVID,
Right.
so it was all Zoom. So I guess we would have seen each other on
on Zoom.
yeah, but actually
in
in person.
the studio, in person, that's so crazy.
Yeah, it
I
is
had brown
crazy.
hair.
Yeah.
Did you?
Oh yeah, I remember.
How about that?
Yeah.
I was a different guy. So.
yeah,
Yeah, he wasn't even here. He joined the show recently. That's right. You were a different guy back then. How are you, man?
Yeah, I'm great actually.
Yeah.
I'm really good. I'm kind of like the court case finished on Thursday. I went to sleep and
Right.
I woke up and I was like, oh my album's out. I've got to promote this.
Right.
And then I went to bed that night after a long day, and then I woke up and I was like, oh, my
Yeah.
tour's starting today. I've got to get to Dallas.
Yeah.
So it's all like one after the other, one after the other. But I'm really enjoying talking about this record because
Sure.
I've just spent 2 weeks in a courtroom.
And that's
talking
settled.
about-
That's done. You don't have to talk about
Yeah,
it. That's
yeah.
all done,
But
right? Fair enough. We know the
Totally, yeah.
story.
Done
Yeah.
in the past. We won.
Right.
Great. Let's move on. Basically.
But you know what's so amazing to me is now you're doing this, touring around to different radio stations and stuff, and that's part of the process of being an artist. And I'm
Yeah.
sure you kind of still enjoy that. You're seeing people that were there when you were coming up. Like we've been there with you since
Totally,
Jump because we knew a winner when we saw it, unlike certain
Thank you.
record labels. We jumped on board pretty soon with you.
Yeah.
And you're going around and seeing all friends of ours in the radio biz and getting to walk into the studios again. How does it feel being back in that world?
It's great, I really feel connectivity again. I think that releasing an album in COVID last time, I didn't get any sense of feel of whether people liked it or not, or anything, because I just sort of sat in a room, did Zoom interviews, and then that was that. So it's lovely to be doing fan pop-ups and
Right.
playing random secret shows here and there. It's just, it feels very much like my first record again, like
Yeah.
the excitement of reconnecting. It's good.
And I guess it's, you've been through so much, and I watched the documentary, which I hope a lot of people watch because it does show a side of you that people haven't seen before. And it also shows Cherry as well. And it brings us into your life and into the pub.
Yeah.
Solid play there, dude.
Thank you.
But it brings us into your life and what you've gone through and stuff that, many of us have gone through similar things in our lives.
Yeah.
And it was really neat to connect with you. Like I felt like I really did in a different way
Thank you.
than we've connected with just being in the studio and stuff.
Yeah, I feel the documentary sort of crept up on me because I was filming, making an album and doing music videos and stuff like that, and then I didn't want to be involved in the making of it. I didn't want it to be a propaganda press piece and
Right.
polished or whatever. So I was just like, wherever you find, you make it, and I'm
Yeah.
sure it'll be interesting. And then they showed it to me, and I was like, oh, this isn't a music documentary. This is like a documentary about grief and depression and stuff like
Right.
that. It's really like interesting. But the more people have seen it, I think people watch it. It's like music. You listen to songs and you relate it to your own life. And I think people watch it and connect with it because of the things that they're going through. And we all go through these things,
Right. Yeah, we've all had somebody, Jamal was such a big influence in your life. And I started thinking when you said, because this is a connection I was thinking about, when you said February was just a sucky month. Cherry got the diagnosis, your friend passed away, a lot of stuff coming away, the court case. And then I started thinking about like my dad died in February, and then his mom died, his father died, and my uncle, they all died in February. I'm like, God, that was a connection for me right there. I mean, it's a strange connection, albeit.
Most of the people that I've lost in my life have died in February as well.
What is with that?
Yeah, I don't know.
It's the suckiest
It's
month.
my birthday month as well.
I'm sorry.
No, it's great. I mean, it's nice to have some form of distraction
Sure.
in that month. But
Right.
yeah, it's Feb. I just think the start of the year is always a bit sucky. you know?
Right. It can be. Let's talk about the music. So this album, you had it kind of done, and then everything changed, and then you did it all new.
Yeah,
That's basically it, right?
the way I make albums is I write lots of songs and I pick the best ones. And I had done that over 10 years making Subtract because I just was overthinking it. It was meant to come out in 2012 and I just overthought it. And then when all this stuff happened, I was writing songs at the time because that's what I do. I write songs, and it just formed into this album that I just felt was quite important. And I don't have an album like this that is just what it is. It's just an album of like one or two subjects. It's all made by one producer, and it's all kind of under the same umbrella. And you can put it on, and it's the mood for when you put it on. Whereas my albums before are more like, I have maybe one song on an album will be the mood of Subtract, and then I'll have Perfect, and I'll have like Shape of You and Bad Habits, and like they all songs do different things. Whereas this, I'm sort of having to get my head around it that this will just exist in the world and it will matter to people, and that's enough. Rather than I've always been records are so heavily hit focused. I'll have the song that goes on radio, and then there'll be a follow-up to that and a follow-up to that. Whereas this is, you just put it out in the world and it just exists as an album. And I keep coming back to my favorite Bruce Springsteen's record is Nebraska, and his biggest record is Born in the USA. But Nebraska to me is the most important, and that's, I sort of feel in some respect that's where this falls for me.
So you're okay with that, because I think for a lot of us, and you know, maybe I'll take some guilt in this myself too, a lot of people in radio and our entertainment world looked at you as a hit machine. Said, oh, here comes Ed Sheeran. Here's another hit, man. We're going to get some ratings. Ed Sheeran's got a brand new song, stuff like that. But this album wasn't the hit machine. This was just what you wanted to speak about from your heart. Yeah,
it's weird, like, having 12 years of being that guy. And, like, I'm gonna get back to doing that. I can.
But I think you have hits on this too. So don't think this album's full of hits.
In a different way, though. I don't think any of these songs are gonna like set the world alight and be like #1 streaming.
That's really bad timing for the cookies. The cookies to be done. I apologize about that, but go on.
Yeah, I think it matters more than that. You know, I don't want this on a gym playlist that just sort of gets heard in the background. I want people they're gonna feel a certain way. They put this album on, and it makes them either like helps them feel more, or helps them, distracts them, or like they connect to it. Like, that's what I want the record to be. And you know, I'm in doing a stadium tour of the States now, and I'm playing hits every night, and no one can take them away from me. I still have them. I'm still going on stage and playing songs that people love. But this album, I feel like it would be like reductive to be trying to make it something it isn't. You know?
Speaking of playing stadiums, we got tickets for SoFi for that Saturday night. My family got tickets. We're bailing on the iHeartRadio Music Festival, which is the same night.
Is it?
Yeah. So I'm bailing on that. Right. Bailing on that to come see you.
This album, you talked before about how, you know, it's different. And it is so different because it hits us all personally in a way that no matter what kind of sadness or grief or feeling you have gone through in your life, your words just hit us in a place that I don't think an album has in a very long time, especially, you know, listening to Life Goes On. I was listening to that, and then the line where you said that, you know, basically that love leads to pain. Yeah. And I started thinking about that because right now I'm like in the happiest I've ever been in a relationship, and I'm in love. But then you think about that is the ultimate pain that you will feel. It's going to end at some point, whether that's, you know, they're gone or something happens in the relationship. But how lucky are we to have had that love, but life still goes on in that love. And I just think that every song that I was listening to as going through the album, each one then became like, okay, I like this one the best. This one is my favorite. So I think we're talking about like the hits. This album is a hit in the heart.
In different ways,
I mean, the thing that, so much is sort of made of the instantness of like put something out and everyone likes it at once. But you know, I closed my show with a song that came out called Afterglow that it wasn't a hit. Like, it really wasn't a hit, but it goes down the same as Bad Habits or Shivers or Shape of You or Thinking Out Loud. And so, songs are just, if they matter to someone, to me, that is what a hit is. If you can stand on stage and sing it and people are connecting with it, that's how there's a lot sort of, not to go back on the court case, but in the court case, they would bring up songs and they said, was that commercially successful? And I'm like, the way to view it is, did people like it? Did people connect to it? Did people like it? Not like, I don't know. Yeah.
So how do you get that feedback of how people feel about it? Is it live shows, social media?
Well, that's the thing that I didn't have on Equals because I wasn't out and about. But I'm like doing these pop-ups, and however many thousand people came to it yesterday, and you meet them and they go, exactly that. Like, this song matters to me, and because of this lyric and this lyric, and you go, oh, people are liking it. And I'd never had that on Equals. The only way I could measure it was like, are people watching the Bad Habits music video? That was the only until the tour went on sale and tickets sold. But this one, it's just so nice reconnecting on a human level with all my fans. It's great.
Well, when you watch the documentary too, not to keep going back to that, but it did show a side of you that I hadn't seen. You really connect with people. That guitar you give to that little boy right there in front. Awesome. He's in heaven with that guitar. He's probably going to be a pop star because of you.
Well, that's my kind of hope. My point of in the documentary saying that is, like, I come from a very like there's nothing showbiz about the place that I'm from. I come from like really, you saw in the documentary, it's like, it's not London, it's Ipswich, and I grew up in a small farming town and blah, blah, blah. But kids at my school now can look at what I did and go, oh, well, if he can do that, I can do that. He didn't come from a remarkable background or anything like that. And I think that was what I was saying to that kid. I was like, if you play this guitar every day and you write songs every day, eventually you'll be good. So
it's funny, like generationally too, my mom was watching American Idol and saw you on there. She's a huge fan. She's 84 now, late onset Alzheimer's, but she knows you and loves you, right? It's like, I'm watching Ed Sheeran. He's on American Idol. I'm like, okay, Ma. I love him. I'm like, okay, Ma. His hair. Does he ever comb it? I'm sorry.
My grandmother used to buy me combs for my birthday.
Yeah.
Like as a hint. I was like, no, I'm not.
Yeah. Not so much. Not so much. Hey, when you filmed the videos, we talked about, how you filmed them all in Suffolk and stuff, and you wear that wetsuit because the North Sea is absolutely freezing.
Man, I really regret. They offered for me to film that music video in Los Angeles, and I didn't want to leave my kids for a week, so I was like, no, I'm going to film it in Suffolk. It was like 2 degrees. They had a medic on site taking my pulse in between takes just to be like, you can't stay in the water for longer than however many minutes.
Because it's too much, right? You'll freeze, hypothermia.
Yeah.
So this is my son's in the studio. It's a funny question I'm going to ask here, but I would think this, and as a guy, I don't know if you thought this too. You're in really, really cold water. Were you worried, like coming out then on the camera, that things would be really shriveled? You know what I mean? Did that cross your mind?
Yeah. It took a while for me to be able to pee again. Yeah.
Like an idiot just went up inside. What? Like I've gone too far now or something?
Not at all. But man, it is like, I remember doing this is really too much information, but doing a bike ride in like November to Amsterdam and just getting to Amsterdam and just being like, I don't know where it's gone.
I wish Capaldi was here for that right now. He has some great jokes that he does on stage about that too. By the way, he's still pretty bummed about that whole house situation with you.
Ah, man, he needs to leave that alone.
Every time we talk to him, he brings that house situation up.
Man, like, what I said to him originally was like, look, you're going to be on tour for the next 10 years of your life. Find somewhere that you're going to like chip away every now and then and make your forever home. And he bought somewhere that was a doer-upper. And, I speak to him most days. We're good. We're good.
Yeah. Tell him we said hi. We saw him in concert the other night. Oh my God, the guy's fantastic.
Was it great? Yeah.
He was such a gent too, and it's one of these things. And I know you do this with your mates as well, and you got a very tight circle. He had us backstage before the show, and the thing when your family comes backstage after a show or before and wish you the best. He made all of us feel like we were his family. Coming backstage, just a solid guy.
Yeah, he's great, man. I don't want it to ever sound like patronizing, but I really do see a lot of myself in him.
I'd agree.
In like the way that he's feeling about his second album and promoting and this song and that song. I was like, I've been through all of those feelings, and we talk. This is why we talk a lot. Is we just have this constant kind of dialogue. Because for me, it was having Elton when I was doing my second album and talking to him because he'd been through all of it, and he's great, man. I really like him.
So funny when you say Elton, and I don't want this to come across the wrong way as we close things out here too. Ed Sheeran's here. I see a lot of like Elton in you, and I'm not sucking up, so don't take that the wrong way. You. But the arc of your career, where you're going, and the stuff that you talked about your career at Cherry, you talked about one day maybe they won't be into this. We'll find somebody else or something like that. I don't think so. I think you're one of the long haul people.
Well, I think, Elton, like every artist ever, has had periods of their career where people are more interested in their older songs than their...
It's quiet at times.
Yeah, and I think that's like, whenever I get down about stuff of like, do people still like me or do they still like my music? I always go on Elton's Wikipedia and look at his career's mad. It's like, you think that Elton has had #1 hits since he came out, but he's had like... periods of time where people aren't interested, a period of time where he's doing musicals, or periods of time where he's like managing Watford Football Club, it's just but that is what a career is. It's not just, you're not driving up a mountain the entire time getting to the top. You're basically on a roller coaster.
Any part of you bummed you didn't get to go to the coronation?
Well, I watched it, so I kind of got the general gist.
The gist of it.
Do you know, there's on a historical aspect of it, I think it might have been cool to be there, but my tour was starting in Dallas on the day that he got, and it was my wife's birthday. I'm not gonna fly all the way back
for the big lunch
and cancel my gig on my wife's birthday. Like as much as it's important.
Right. Lionel Richie and Katy Perry handled it.
Yeah, and it's great, you know. Like I've done jubilees, and I've done like I've shown that
you felt that royal world.
Yeah, I've done, like I just like starting my tour and launching my album, finishing the court case, and wife's birthday. Like all of those things were like this. This is important. I've got to do this. You know?
And Cherry's great. She's doing well.
Cherry's good. Yes.
Kids are good.
Kids are good. They're it's kids are. It's wild, isn't it? Like life just comes at you, and you're like, oh wow, they're old now.
How do you feel like as a dad?
I think I don't know. I still feel like a kid, but I think the older I get, the more things are making me adult-ish. You know. Right. Does that make sense?
No, I understand that. I mean, I'm a dad. Brian's a dad back here. And then, here's my son, Colin, he's 15, so it's like.
But I bet yesterday he was 3, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, you just blink and it happens. Like, yeah, it's mad.
Well played, by the way.
What?
He just fixed my brow and you didn't do anything. He came over here, licked his thumb, put it against my brow, and you did nothing.
Neither did you.
I know. We pulled that son at Capaldi. He could not continue. He just gave up.
Oh, right.
Lewis gave up.
Is that a thing?
Well, not now.
They're trying to make it a thing.
We tried to make it a thing, but it went absolutely nowhere with you, so it's no longer a thing.
No, I clocked it, and I was just like, I saw your look, and I was like, is he angry at that? but yeah. So what's this Capaldi jar?
Oh, this interview isn't about him, by the way. That's his swear jar.
So if I just say, do I have to?
That's a fair amount, buddy.
That's
That's a fair amount you're putting in there.
We're not live, by the way. We're not live.
No.
We're not live.
We're never going to be live. Never, ever. Ladies and gentlemen, Ed Sheeran.